Violence in America. Unless you're living under a rock, you know that this is a violent time in America. In previous Saving America episodes, I've discussed the horrible attacks on churches and other institutions. We are aware of the violence committed with apparent impunity by Americans and illegals, resulting in death of the victims and spreading fear in our communities. In my lifetime, I do not remember hardly ever hearing about a parent killing a child, and yet there have been even several reports of this horrible thing happening. Against this sad backdrop, we have violence in major American cities. The alleged trigger is the fact that the America that we know was overrun by the Biden-Harris administration's open borders policy. While many were only seeking a better life, a large number were criminals and asylum inmates from other countries. The American people voted to both end the practice of open borders and to bring safety to our streets. Part of that program is locating, imprisoning, and deporting those who have committed serious crimes in our communities. The stories are known to all who pay attention to the news. The agency that is charged with this is ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Despite the public support for this agency, terrorists and high-profile Dems have used the word ICE to trigger not just protests, but violent protests. We all know that this violence is happening in places like Los Angeles, Chicago, and Portland, Oregon. The protests take place near ICE facilities, and there are also efforts to block ICE activities in areas where illegal criminal aliens hang out. As these are federal employees and federal offices, the U.S. government has every right to provide protection for them. It is bizarre that the local authorities, who are obviously not doing their job to maintain law and order and to protect these workers and facilities, are refusing to support them. Look, if they did not want the feds, they could simply provide the necessary security themselves. And if they cannot provide that security, why not take the aid being provided by the feds? There are several problems here. First, you have Democrat public officials coming out in favor of criminal illegals and imposing ICE enforcement. That makes no sense to me. Second, America's cities are facing significant declines due to chronic lack of enforcement and punishment for serious criminal acts. I believe the pendulum is swinging back, and I expect that despite the funding from the Soros machine, more conservative district attorneys and overall police support is going to come back to American cities. Third, I strongly support President Trump's declaration that Antifa is a terrorist organization. Many of the reports about the violence around ICE locations in LA, Portland, and Chicago indicate that similar perpetrators are involved in this mob violence. Do we know that the sponsor is Antifa? Not specifically. Unlike in the Middle East, where the terrorists celebrate the mayhem they cause, the locals here do not specifically claim to be part of Antifa. However, we all know if it quacks like a duck, walks like a duck, it probably is a duck, meaning Antifa. I know many of the members of my audience appreciate my connection to current and prior history. In this case, just over 100 years ago, the Bolshevik Revolution destroyed the Russian government and replaced it with a violent scourge that has haunted much of Europe, especially following the end of World War II. Just under 100 years ago, Hitler got his start in Germany with many of the same false claims against a minority group and against the German government. The actions of Antifa and its associates are following the same pattern. While violence appears to only target certain federal workers and facilities, if they are successful, more and more mayhem will follow, involving more and more regular Americans. Now, I work 7 days a week. Many of the people that I know are working like crazy to support their families. How can such a large number of people in distant cities afford to spend their time doing violence? What about their food bills, their rent, their families? They do not seem to care about being arrested. In my opinion, most Americans never want to be arrested. Most of us do not even want a traffic ticket. Here's my point. This is too organized and too consistent across multiple sites to be merely local protests by random factions. I am hearing more reports, some of it brought out by Trump's declaration that Antifa is a terrorist organization. There is some type of organization and structure to what is happening here. While coincidences are possible, this is obviously not a coincidence. So if there are new actors today in the place of Hitler, Lenin, and Trotsky from the early 20th century, who are they? I have heard one name consistently, and that is George Soros and organizations that he funds. I do not know if this is true. Frankly, I hear this man is very wealthy. Why would he want to see a revolution in America? This country, unlike Tsarist Russia and post-World War I Germany, is generally successful and could be even more successful with reforms of its failed bureaucracy. I know there are investigations pending in the current administration of Soros and his organizations. I am watching for those results. This is Dr. David D. Schein. Thanks for joining me for this special edition of Saving America. Remember, a new Saving America show is aired on the Brushwood Media Network every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Listen on any of the 16 network stations, Apple or Google mobile app, Apple CarPlay, TuneIn, Smart Speaker, and all smart TVs. Find more information at the brushwoodmedianetwork.com. Please be sure to join us each week. We welcome and love your feedback from our growing audience.